There's a moment in every transformation that almost no one talks about. It's not at the beginning, when you feel motivated to change. It's not at the end, when you celebrate your growth. It happens in the middle, right after you've had a breakthrough. Right after the meditation that finally opened your heart. Right after you finally felt aligned with the version of yourself you've been calling in. For a brief moment, everything clicks. You feel expansive, clear, unstoppable. And then suddenly, the fear returns. Your thoughts begin racing. Your chest tightens. Your nervous system contracts as if you're in danger. And you start questioning everything. Was it real? Did I imagine it? Am I regressing? Most people misunderstand this moment. They think it means they've failed. But it isn't failure. It's friction. The friction between your old identity dissolving and your quantum self emerging. Before we go deeper, if you're new here and these words resonate with you, please subscribe. Every week we explore the deeper mechanics of transformation and quantum alignment. And if you're on this journey, you'll want to stay connected. We're conditioned to believe that alignment means feeling peaceful all the time, that once you're tuned into your dream reality, everything should feel effortless. But that's not how quantum shifts actually work. The truth is, the more powerful the timeline you're stepping into, the louder your survival system will scream on the way in. This isn't sabotage. This is biology meeting consciousness. Your body's job is simple, to keep you alive based on the past. It doesn't care about expansion or possibility. It cares about what's familiar. And manifestation, by definition, asks you to step into the unknown. So when you start embodying a new self, your nervous system interprets it as a threat, not because it's dangerous, but because it's unfamiliar. Think of it like stretching a muscle that's been tight for years. At first, it resists, it shakes, it wants to snap back. But that resistance isn't weakness. It's proof that you're expanding beyond your old range. This is where most people collapse, not because they're not ready, but because they mistake this resistance for a stop sign, when in reality, it's a bridge. Quantum physicist Amit Goswami described the quantum self as a field of infinite potential, a version of you that exists beyond time, space, and personal history. But here's the catch. To access that version, you have to collapse the wave of possibilities into form through observation. And observation isn't just mental focus. It requires coherence, a state where your thoughts, emotions, and body are aligned. Fear distorts coherence. Panic scrambles the signal. So when fear rises, it's not a sign you've gone backwards. It's an invitation to regulate your energy, to stabilize your frequency, so you can actually meet the self you've already chosen. Dr. Joe Dispenza explains this perfectly. Your body doesn't know the difference between a real experience and a vividly imagined one. When you think fearful thoughts, your body produces stress chemistry as if you were in actual danger. So even when your mind has chosen a new future, your body may still be addicted to the emotions of the past. That creates what I call the sacred gap, the uncomfortable space between who you were and who you're becoming. In that gap, your old self pulls at you with familiar fear, while your quantum self is calling you forward. Most people interpret the fear as a warning and retreat back into old patterns. But those who understand this truth, they stay. They breathe. They allow the fear to rise without collapsing into it. Because fear in this context isn't the enemy. It's feedback. It's the residue of an expired identity being released from your system. So let's reframe this. When fear shows up after alignment, it doesn't mean you've lost connection. It means you're in motion. You're departing from neural pathways that were wired for limitation. You're leaving behind emotional addictions that kept you entangled with the past. You're breaking the gravitational pull of who you used to be. Fear, in this light, isn't a stop sign. It's a departure signal. It's your body saying, we're not used to this new vibration yet, but we're moving there. So when fear interrupts your shift, you don't need to start over. You don't need to force yourself into high vibration. You simply need to stay coherent long enough to meet the version of you that's already waiting. This is where alignment becomes mastery. Staying aligned isn't about eliminating fear. It's about transforming your relationship with it. Instead of fighting fear, you learn to observe it without judgment. Instead of running from it, you sit with it. You decode it. You alchemize it. You recognize that fear is not proof that you're weak, broken, or unworthy. It's proof that you're expanding, that your old identity is dissolving, and your quantum self is beginning to emerge. And in the next part, we'll go deeper into how to regulate your nervous system in those moments, so you don't collapse your frequency, but instead, learn how to stabilize it. Because fear is not here to block you. It's here to be transformed into fuel for your alignment. When fear rises in the middle of your shift, the first thing to understand is that it's not trying to sabotage you. It's your body asking for reassurance. Your subconscious is scanning for safety, and anything unfamiliar will feel unsafe until you teach your nervous system otherwise. This is the point where many people collapse because they interpret the discomfort as proof that they've gone backwards. But in truth, it's a signal that the field is recalibrating. Imagine downloading a new operating system onto your computer. For a while, things glitch. Old programs freeze, the machine feels unstable. But that instability is not failure. It's transition. Your mind and body are doing the same thing when you expand into a new identity. They're uninstalling what no longer matches and installing the frequency of your next self. That's why emotional regulation is the bridge between intention and embodiment. It's not about being positive all the time. It's about being consistent in the signal you're broadcasting. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Fear often reveals these unconscious programs. The part of you that was taught to play small. The part that learned to people please. The part that numbed itself so you wouldn't have to feel rejection. When you leap into a new timeline, those fragments resurface, not to block you, but to ask for integration. They want to know, are we safe to come with you? And this is where your power lies. You can either suppress them, which keeps you in conflict, or you can meet them with presence. You can say, I see you, I understand why you were here, but now we're expanding. That shift of compassion dissolves resistance, because what you resist persists, but what you embrace transforms. This is the heart of quantum integrity. The universe doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be coherent. And coherence doesn't come from eliminating fear. It comes from not abandoning yourself when fear arises. The shadow isn't trying to drag you back. It's trying to join you. And when those fragmented parts of your identity are welcomed instead of rejected, your frequency doesn't just rise, it stabilizes. Stability is what makes a new timeline sustainable. You're no longer leaking energy into an internal battle. You're unified, you're whole, and wholeness is magnetic. So what does this look like in practice? Imagine you're triggered by a setback, Your body tightens, your thoughts spiral. Most people would collapse back into the old narrative. I knew it wouldn't work. Maybe I'm not ready, maybe I'm not enough. But here's the quantum alternative. You pause, you inhale deeply, you exhale slowly. You place your hand over your heart and whisper, "We are safe, we are expanding, and I am choosing to remain." That single act shifts your frequency. Not because the fear disappears, but because you've shown your nervous system a new way to process it. You're no longer at the mercy of old survival codes. You're teaching your body that safety can exist inside the unknown. And when you can hold your frequency through fear, something remarkable happens. The field begins to mirror back your steadiness. Opportunities align, synchronicities appear, conversations shift. Not because you forced reality to change, but because you stopped collapsing into the old one. This is the real quantum leap. Not forcing yourself to always feel euphoric, but training yourself to remain present, consistent, and coherent, even when fear whispers. The field doesn't respond to mood. It responds to signal. Your signal is determined not by whether you feel high or low, but by whether you keep returning. That return is the ritual. Returning again and again, even when you stumble, even when you wobble, is how your new timeline stabilizes. Now let's bring this home. Staying aligned doesn't mean becoming fearless. It means becoming fluent in your own energy. Knowing when your chest tightens and responding with breath. Knowing when your thoughts spin stories and returning to presence. Knowing when you're acting from survival and shifting back into trust. These small, consistent choices build your new identity. They are the code you're broadcasting. They are the vibration that the quantum field organizes itself around. And over time, the fear loses its grip, not because it's gone, but because it's no longer leading. You are. So the next time fear interrupts your shift, don't collapse. Don't label it as failure. See it for what it is. Proof that you're expanding, that the old identity is dissolving, and that your quantum self is stepping forward. Fear is not an obstacle. It's feedback. It's a reminder that you're in motion, that you're teaching your body how to live in a new reality. And when you can hold your coherence long enough, the field responds. Reality reorganizes. And what once felt impossible becomes inevitable. If you felt this message resonate in your body, if something in you has shifted even slightly as you've listened, then you're already in motion. This is your invitation to stay connected, to continue anchoring your shift. Please subscribe, not just to hear more content, but to stay inside this transmission, to reinforce your frequency with a community that's choosing the same path. Because alignment isn't a one-time event. It's a living relationship. And every time you return here, you're not just watching a video. You're practicing your coherence. You're remembering who you really are.